Doing this job, I often get asked the question, what's the best car you've ever driven? And my immediate answer is, depends. And thereafter follows a long discussion about budget and categories, and the person who asked me the question generally walks away disagreeing with whatever I've said. The other question I get asked is, what's the worst car I've ever driven? And the answer to that question is a lot shorter. But no one ever asked me, what's the most disappointing car? And the answer to that would be the Kia Soul. Not this one, the old one. When it first arrived on the scene, the Soul boasted unique styling that's since been copied by a few manufacturers, testament to the fact that its ultra-box style is in fact something quite appealing. The old Soul was disappointing because once you peeled back the veneer of its exterior styling, it revealed a car that, ironically, had very little soul at all. The interior was dull with some not very nice materials, and the drive wasn't much better either. It promised so much, but it just failed to deliver. That, thankfully, has changed. This is the new Kia Soul, and it still has its trademark boxy look, but it's also slightly bigger and a whole lot better. Under the watchful eye of Kia's talented design boss, the Soul has transformed and at the same time stayed true to the original from 2008. I guess a lot of people would think that this is a car that wouldn't appeal to everyone because it's not a traditional shape and it's not exactly subtle. But when you take it all in, why wouldn't it appeal? It's got good proportion and great elements, and it's a car that has a lot of character. That's even before you've driven it. We're driving the 1600 diesel with 94 kilowatts and 230 newton meters. The petrol options include a 91 kilowatt 1600 and a 113 kilowatt 2 litre. There's also a choice of manual or automatic gearboxes. There are also 3 spec levels giving you varying degrees of toys. Our test car is only the mid-level street. But that's okay, because what it doesn't have are things like an electric driver's seat and front park distance control. Basically, things you can live without. Although it would be nice to have cruise control. Besides that, there's nothing to be picky about in here. It is a typical Kia interior with top tech, good materials, and a very nice design. And on top of that, a lot of space, thanks to the Soul's untraditional roofline and clever packaging. Even the boot is a decent size. This interior goes a long way to making the Soul the good package that it is. There's a sense that some real thought has been put into its design and manufacture. Personally, I love attention to detail. For example, an aircon recirculation button wouldn't ordinarily make the slightest bit of difference in my opinion of a car, but the Soul-shaped silhouette on this one is a good example of that attention to detail. Okay, a single button doesn't make the car good, but there is more to it. The initial impression of the diesel is that it is a bit rough, but once it's up to temperature, it is quite smooth and quiet, and very capable. Good low-down torque makes for a sharp getaway, and in-gear acceleration is also good up to 5th. 6th gear is definitely best reserved for the open road. Even though the manual gearbox has such a good shift action, you want to use it as often as possible. The Kia Soul likes to position itself as something that stands out and is something quite different. But there is another side to it that is quite unexpected, and that's how refined it is. It's quiet despite the diesel engine. The ride setup is smooth. In fact, it is quite a civilized thing. In that respect, and despite what the marketing blah might tell you, it's very grown up. It's easy to live with, it's comfortable, and has a feel that you would expect to find in a car from a more expensive category. new Kia Soul is better than the original without straying too far from the initial idea. It also has an interior that's better designed and better executed. But it's not all beauty and no substance. I started off saying the old Kia Soul was disappointing, but this car is the exact opposite. And it's not just a good machine compared to the old one, it's a superb car in its own right. The 1600 diesel is a little rough when cold, but once it's up to speed, it's smooth and quiet. The 6-speed manual gearbox is also a pleasure. The new Soul is a vast improvement over the old one without moving away from the original idea. Unique styling and an enjoyable drive make it a superb package.